Let's jump to the war here, and today we're going to be doing a rating your Doomstack video, which we haven't done one in ages. But we're covering some of the new content here with the Great Moon Bird from Cathay. This guy has renamed all of his birds to burbs. I'm just going to acknowledge that I do notice it, okay? So he's got it commanded by a Lord Magistrate, which I've had a bit of a look over the various different lords to see who would probably be the best lord to command this, and I don't think that the Lord Magistrate is the right one. I don't think it should be commanded by any of the legendary lords, but what this guy does is he's able to give extra speed for the army. He's also reducing their upkeep cost a little bit, but I think that this goes a little bit to waste because of the ammunition. These birds, they don't have ammo, so I think that he is much better off commanding infantry than these single entity monsters. What would be a better option if you went with a Celestial General? That guy's got a skill that provides extra weapon strength for the entire army, plus 10%, so that would be pretty good. But if you go with a Shugengan Lord, you could get a small amount of healing if you go with, I think, Yin, because that will allow you to get the bounce spell for Earthblood, and that'll help in, like, if you're doing loads of different battles, so at least you get to use it 4 times each battle. So one thing that we need to compare this to is the High Elves version, because these Moonbirds, they are basically Phoenixes. They've got the same voice lines or same sound effects as Phoenixes, same animations as Phoenixes. They're basically the same as Phoenixes. But what really works for the Phoenixes for the High Elves is that they've got a lot of supporting characters that give them a lot of extra strength. For one thing, I went through the tech tree for this, and there's a couple of techs that benefit Moonbirds. Not much. Like this one here's got bonus versus infantry plus 6. There's another one that reduces their upkeep costs, and I think there's one over here that increases their melee defense plus 4. It's just not very much. And Phoenixes have got a lot more in their tech tree. They've got characters with the flammable traits that's able to provide ward save. They've got access to life magic as a hero or a lord skill, Lord of Magic. So healing is really powerful for single entity monsters, and that's something that only Miao Ying has as a reliable source of healing in the Cathay roster. They don't have access to a Law of Life yet, at least. Another thing here is that you don't have a spellcaster at all in the army, so maybe you could have actually gotten a Astromancer, because they can use a Great Moonbird as a mount. So at least you could be casting some buffs, I suppose. You definitely don't want to be relying too heavily for these tests on using like lightning and stuff like that, because otherwise it'll just be a magic stack, it's relying too heavily on the wizard. But you could use it for Curse of the Midnight Wind and Harmonic Convergence to buff these ones up a little bit. I think not having a wizard here is a mistake, but anyway, I think there's enough here to sort of test this out and see how they perform. These are a tier 4 unit. Like if I go over to a settlement, we can see that they are recruited from the Celestial Observatory at tier 4. Their base upkeep cost is 424. So they're actually more expensive than a Terracotta Sentinel. And they're more expensive than the Celestial line. Are they actually the most expensive unit in your roster? They actually might be the most expensive unit that Cathay has in their roster in terms of upkeep. Interesting. Okay, well, they better perform well. Alright, let's jump into this battle here and see how we go. We're up against essentially 2 and a bit full stacks because there's a large garrison in here. So in terms of order resolve, what battle difficulty are we on? Okay, nope, we need maximum modifiers there, please. Doesn't matter what the campaign difficulty is. Okay, so it doesn't matter if we've got an auto resolve victory for a Doomstack testing. A lot of infantry here, a few monsters. Okay. This will give us, I think, a good idea of how well these perform. Because yeah, this isn't a disaster battle. It's a Doomstack video. So with Doomstack videos, we're here to test them out. And 2 full stacks, even if they're not the best armies ever, this will give us a good idea of how well these perform. The guy in the email said that these units are best used with their like moon flare ability. So that's what we should be using them for. This isn't a kind of army that you want to just throw them down into melee and then just tank everything, because they just don't have the resistances that Phoenixes have. So we shouldn't use them exactly the same as Phoenixes. Now, because it's a Doomstack video, not a disaster battle, we will give the AI a chance. Just let them get organized first. These also aren't max tier experience, so what they're missing out in the back end of the red line, they're missing out on missile resistance. Now, there's not that many missile units in this army, but there are a few, and some of them are high elfin ones, because obviously there's an outpost here. So a bit of missile resistance would help, but they don't seem to have any physical or ward save, physical resistance or ward save. And I think that's what really sets them apart from the Phoenixes, and of course the access to supporting characters. Now, of course, you could always steal a life wizard, but it's always better to play a faction that actually just has it by default, and you just recruit it whenever you want, as opposed to going through the arduous task of stealing characters. So this would be really, if this was a disaster battle, I would go over here right now and burn all this to the ground. But like I said, it's a Doomstack video. We can't make it too easy on ourselves, or else it's not an adequate test. Especially considering the bounce power is actually in our favor. So this seems pretty strong in auto resolve at the very least. So they got really high speed, 156 in this situation, boosted by this guy here. This guy here's got a brass cleaver for the extra melee attack. When it comes down to getting into melee, I'll bring him in, but I just want to keep him out of it for now. Because yeah, none of these abilities here are game breaking at all. And 8 melee attackers, you know, it's alright. I still feel as though the Celestial General would be better. Alright, they're not in a blob now. Let's get organized. Let's get to it. Alright, now the first thing that we want to do is try to use the Moon Flare on missile units, because they're going to be our biggest threat, I think. And then we want to take out some isolated targets, see how they do against... Actually, you can do that right now. The guy's isolated, go. Now, this ability here has a little bit of a delay, so you want to cast it before you arrive at your target. But it's way more powerful than the Arcane Phoenix Amber Flare, or whatever it's called, Amber Storm. Tell you what, it's probably easier doing this one at a time. Takes a little bit of getting used to with this, but if you time it just right, you can get it right in the middle of their unit. Because I didn't do a good job on that one, but we absolutely smashed it with that one. So a single cast of that just about deleted a full Lothern Sea Guard. Okay, so these ones here, they've used up one cast. I'm going to try to keep this somewhat organized, so I know who's got however many casts remaining. Actually, make that control group 2 and I'll put you on control group 1. So yeah, you can hear that they are exactly the same as Phoenixes, audibly at least. So these ones here, control group. Oh, hang on. Hang on. Got the wrong ones. There we go. Control group 2 for them. Move them back. So, yeah, if you hit them while they're in loose formation, it's obviously not going to do as much. Or in a looser formation. What? That nice tight formation there. Did I time that right? Or maybe a little bit too early there, unless they walk right into it. Yeah, that actually really didn't go so well, because these are quite vulnerable to missiles. I didn't time that right. Takes a little bit of practice, because yeah, with the Arcane Phoenixes, it just does it straight away. Yeah, that's much better, that one. And if this was a Phoenix stack, playing as high elves, I'd heal the little bit of damage that we've taken, but I can't do that here. So, Another thing is that, you know, waiting for 4 full stacks, it's a little bit more difficult to do that in Warhammer 3 than it was in 2, just because the AI doesn't really build as many stacks as it used to. But these attacks here are doing significant damage to them as long as we get them when they're in a blob, which isn't too difficult to achieve. Problem is, though, they're unable to move for 10 seconds, so they get shot a fair bit. That's why I said that the missile units were the biggest threat. We could waste their ammunition, but that's lame.
We used to do that all the time in Warhammer 2.
Yeah, it's tough. Okay, going out of that. Alright, what if we do like the rest of these all at once? Because they're reasonably blobbed up over here. Some of them won't be particularly accurate. But let's just see how this looks. Because we don't have to be 100% efficient on a non-disaster battle. Because yeah, they can only shoot at so many targets at once. And honestly, I think that did pretty well. Okay, so all of these ones now every single one of our moonbirds have used up 2. Sorry, they've only got 2 of the flames left. So we actually don't need any of them in a control group now. Just want to try to keep track of them. So in total, look at this one here, 124 kills, 10,000 damage with that ability. So it's definitely more powerful than what the Arcane Phoenixes can do. Alright, so that's test number 1. Now for test number 2, which is how well do these guys perform in melee. In which case we're going to need the Magistrate to help him out. Tempting to come over here and burn their blob a little bit more, but like I said, this is here a test. I don't want to wear them out too much before they've had a chance to actually fight. Got to see how well these do in a fight. Like, they've got good amount of melee defense, that's for sure. Oh yeah, that's another thing. If we have a look here at their battle harmony, we don't have a yang unit, so they can't get harmony. But their harmony bonus is speed, reload, skill, and leadership. Leadership is useless up until the point of having 0 leadership, like breaking. So it would be so much better if they had like melee defense and melee attack. I feel like these actually should be yang units, because yin is traditionally, as far as this is concerned, for missile units, and they're not missile units. And I don't think this is classified as a missile attack anyway. And even if it was, it already does so much damage, it doesn't need to get a small amount of boost. Especially doesn't need reload skill. Okay, get him in there. Okay. Now what we want to do here is not have every single one of them land, but just have a couple up in the air, popping down the bombs. And this is why it's important to keep track of who's able to use the abilities and who's not. So you just pull some out every now and again. And since we've got our entire army here, they're going to bring in their entire army. That's perfect on that. Did I not keep track of that other one? I gotta do a better job of keeping track of them. Come on, why won't you land? Just bring them out a little bit at a time. Because yeah, when they're in a massive blob like that, especially over here, this is the best time to pop down the storm. That's it. This guy's got some abilities as well, but they're mostly single cast, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. Just shit buffs. They're certainly quite durable, because they're in combat here, on very hard battle difficulty, maximum AI cheats, with units that are pretty damn strong. And they haven't taken that much damage yet. Some of them are a bit hurt. Okay, let's actually pull them out of combat. Because we are fighting in the forest, which isn't good for us. I think we're a little bit stuck. They're just not that... Thank you. I need to get some of them out so I can... bomb. Some of you guys get out. Okay, we got one out. That's it. This one's about to come out.
I invoke the spirit's dragon! Harmony of stone and steel!
Bounce power looks pretty good. Shame we can't heal them. Get some more of these out. Okay, pretty much their entire army is here now. Doesn't matter that much if we're in the forest, because they've got some monster units as well that will be poorly affected by this. It also makes us less vulnerable to missiles. This is why sometimes, even though we lose melee attack fighting in the forest, I do prefer to fight in the forest just because I don't want to get shot. Okay, get you out. Okay, this one here is just taking a bit too much damage. Let me get it out if I can. Come on, flight. Just anywhere along that line should be fine. There shouldn't be too much friendly fire with any of this. Okay, another one's come out. Cool, just try to pull them out as much as we can.
Fight apart!
Anyone coming out? You can come out, but that'll be your last one because you're part of that control group. So you'll actually be in control group 3. Come on, we have to be ready. Still need some more to come out. But that bounce of power is looking good, so I think the army losses isn't too far away. Some of these are very badly damaged now. Okay, got a couple out. Let's do 2 at once. Come on, up you come. Fly. Actually, no, you can go away. Seems like once you've done this ability, you can't queue up another attack. Because I keep telling them to land straight afterwards, but they won't do it until after their ability has been completely used. Another thing as well, we've got the brass cleaver. Okay, there's the army losses. We've got the brass cleaver in here, so that should compensate us for being in the forest. Alright, no one died. And let's have a look at some of the damage here. 12,000 damage, 22,000 damage, 13,000 damage, 26,000 damage. Honestly, pretty good units, especially considering they're not really boosted at all. It's kind of a shame that these units actually might be better than Arcane Phoenixes. But they're in a faction that can't really do much with them. Like if these units here were in the High Elves could just do way more with them because they could heal them, for one thing. Like there's only a couple of them that wouldn't be at full health if we were able to heal them. So obviously Miao Ying would be the best person for this army, but this isn't the best army for Miao Ying. I still also think that you should really have a Heaven's Wizard attached to the army. Doesn't have to be 19 unit spams. Because yeah, if you're in a blob like that, that is actually a really great opportunity for popping down Uranus Thunderbolts and the Comet of Cassandoras. They'd be really good at that. So this could potentially be a very good army. It just isn't in its current form. Like don't get me wrong. We won. got a Pyrrhic victory. It's okay. You know, it was only 2 full stacks of sort of mid-tier units. And this is essentially our most expensive troop. It's very good in auto resolve, I guess. It's worth a lot of balance of power, but it's also very, very expensive. Cathay is a very rich faction in the later stage of the campaign, so that shouldn't be an issue. But really with like amazing doom stacks, what you want is units that are pushed beyond their regular limit, that go above and beyond their pay grade. And I feel like this army here, they kind of just met their pay grade. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. Obviously, if we had charged right in at the very beginning and bombed that huge blob of them, that would have been better. But you're not going to have that every single time. Most of the time, it's going to be situations like that where they're going to be in a line with a lot more missile units as well.
They are sufficiently broken.
Are they siege attackers? They are siege attackers, and I don't believe phoenixes are siege attackers, so that's something. Because, yeah, most of the lords for Cathay, the non-legendary lords, they're actually not siege attackers. So that's interesting. Pretty expensive. This guy's obviously reduced the upkeep cost a fair bit. Now, in terms of rating this, I think it's like, okay. It's hardly the most spectacular doom stack I've ever seen. Even among Cathay, I think that there are better doom stacks. So, in terms of how easy this is to recruit, it's pretty easy. You just got to get to tier 4, and then it's just a case of money. You know, money for Cathay is not that hard to get, and if you want to build this, you can. It's fine. It's definitely not a avoid building this doom stack at all costs. I definitely think it could be better by getting some experience for one thing, because if we have a look here, look at these red line skills. Sky Fire, missile strength is wasted, weapon strength is good, and speed plus 15%. Okay, and then you got looming lanterns here. Extra leadership, miss out on range because they don't have any missile attack, and missile resistance. Missile resistance would have been particularly useful for sure. That would get them up to 30%. The thing is, like I said, the High Elven Phoenixes, they can get 50, 60, 70% resistance, like ward save, without too much trouble, really. So, it's strong, but it's not a 10 out of 10 strength. I'd put it more along the lines of maybe an 8 out of 10 strength. 10 out of 10 armies are ones that can take on 4 full stacks. This can't take on 4 full stacks. It just wouldn't be able to survive it. Most of the time you're not going to encounter 4 full stacks until, of course, you're dealing with endgame crisis. This is not the kind of army that would be able to handle like a gigantic blob of vampire count stuff. It would get worn down with that. And then ease of use. It's not super easy to use them because of their main strength is the moon flare, and accuracy with that one takes a fair bit of practice, I think. You know, just a bit of practice, because it's not like you just click it and then it instantly does the ability, which is easier than on a delay. Because these ones here, when you tell them to stop, they don't just instantly grind to a halt. There's a little bit of deceleration, which gives a moment or two for the unit to get out of the way, which sometimes they will try to do. So it's not always perfectly accurate. Most of the time it'll be fine, though. So yeah, overall, if I was to give this a number out of 10, I'd probably give it like 7 or 8 out of 10. Like, it's a good, solid doom stack, but not something that you should build in every one of your campaigns, or else you're going to lose the campaign. You can definitely go an entire campaign and never even recruit this unit, and you'll be fine. Or you can make a unit army like this, and it'll serve you well most of the time. Just don't go up against, I think, more than 2 full stacks. Or, you know, make sure you've got a healer of some kind, like Miao Ying or a Shugengen Lord, to give it the stamina to keep going a bit longer. Anyway, guys, that's it in this one. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the Great Moonbird. I think it's alright, you know? Not spectacular, not terrible. It's pretty much meets expectations, which is nothing wrong with that. Anyway, that's it in this one. Appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time. Later, guys.